white paper that you want to launch or a topic that you want to discuss, and you have a bunch of followers in let's say PPM, the name of your company, etc. You could entice the, your buyer group through an organic means as well. But in this day and age of organic, that's something that you have to do as a given. But not all of us can build a huge fan following. Plus, it takes a lot of time and effort. Do we have it or do we not? Is a question you have to answer as a marketer. Here's a commercial way to do it faster. But just like a newspaper, there's you value the editorial a little more than the advertorial. But again, it depends on how that advertorial is written. So it's the same with LinkedIn as well. That answers your question. Thank you.
Anyone else?
So I know there cannot be a single correct answer for this question, but all I want to know is your thoughts on this. When it comes to the budget that is the spend on LinkedIn sponsored posts, what kind of dollars we are looking at for a small and medium scale company to have any impact on the campaign? I know maybe it depends upon the context as well, but by and large, whatever you have seen, what kind of budgets do small and medium scale companies spend on their LinkedIn ads?
Okay, that typically has multiple answers, as you said. It doesn't have a straightforward answer. It depends on your strategy, it depends on the end goal. If your end goal is generating leads, then you would probably end up needing a lot more budget than, let's say $3,000 or $5,000. But if your end goal is just reaching out to, let's say, a set of people, you want them to interact with your ad, click the ad, come to the landing page, view the information, download an asset or read something, a blog or something. If that is your goal, then we have done campaigns ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 per month. USD. Yeah, US dollars. So it completely depends on your KPIs basically. But if it's, as I said, complete lead gen, then you would need to invest more because every click is very expensive. Minimum bids on LinkedIn starts around $5. So I think to be competitive, you need to be bidding around $9, $10 to get the top 3 listings in the newsfeed. Like for example, I see this ad given by Visa. This is the topmost ad in my feed. So I'm pretty much guessing this guy would be paying at least about $11 to $12 to be there in the top. But the more below the fold you go, like let me see if I can get a second one. Yeah, not this, sorry. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be showing any ads today. Yeah, but basically it's similar to what you have in Google AdWords. The topmost person, the rank 1 pays the most, rank 2 pays a little lower than the rank 1, and it goes below that. So the same concept applies here. If you want to be visible on the top of the newsfeed, you need to pay higher. If you're okay with being somewhere in the middle, where you still think that people would browse through the entire newsfeed, check out the articles or whatever it is, then I think you can easily settle down for anywhere between $5 to $7 and things like that. Does it answer it?
Yeah, and also on the testing the campaign part, can you throw some light on if my audience size after applying all the targeting comes down to let's say 5 lakh people?
Mm-hmm.
So can I run a micro campaign just to test if this content is reaching the audience well? And if it reaches well, then probably then we can increase the budget. So does that work well in LinkedIn to test?
Okay, in that context, I think 500,000 is a very high number for an audience. You won't know which part of your audience has responded to you. So I would split that audience into at least about 4 to 5 parts. Let's say within that 500,000 you have a job function which is the IT, you have a job function which is a financial, you have a job function not function, I would say seniority, which is a CEO or a director or a VP of a company, I would split that into 3 different personas and identify which one is the topmost for you. Who is your key decision maker, or who is your influencer, or who is going to finally approve the product usage, basically. So once you have identified that, I would say go with the person you have identified, run a targeted campaign to them first, find out if it is working, and then slowly build up the campaigns.
It's also like a single channel approach is not the best approach. So the best way just at a strategic level is to look. You can take anywhere between 2% of your revenue to 10 to 12%. But that could be a big number. But it should always be a percentage of the revenue that you're getting, because it's really important. Your marketing dollar is extremely valuable, and like SMBs are more required. Test more, try and buy before you do it. And some of these platforms, I mean, they were SMBs just like you, trying to sell their ad platforms. So they are going after the 20% of the market that pays the most. So you were discussing rates really, but not really a strategy on your budget. So I would always make a budget based on your turnover, at least the revenue potential. It's worth spending something if you're chasing it at a 1x, 2x goal. For example, if you have a high spend, then or you end up your campaign ends up you have a huge budget that you have to put, it should be at least worth the dollar. And this again cross-channel, doesn't have to be LinkedIn. So you could be doing organic LinkedIn because it's very focused, but it could be very expensive. So maybe have a organic type of strategy. Use whatever lookalike into Facebook, and then you can do a paid and then Google AdWords is great to start off because it's everybody, and that's somewhere where you can understand bidding well there, and really how to chase this keyword. So and to test, it's great. It's not, you'll be burning quite a lot of money if you go sit on LinkedIn and start testing your campaigns. So so you get some sense from AdWords. So if you're doing it on Google, doing something, it allows you to do it at a very small rate. Facebook also, depending on your strategy. So that's just the outline.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else has any questions?
Excuse me. You mentioned about sponsored inbox messages, LinkedIn messages. Roughly, if we have to again, your previous statement was that 2% of your total revenue would be a good marketing. 2% of the total revenue.
It could fluctuate very
right.
Well, but yeah, depends on what.
Assuming that I'm only focusing on LinkedIn marketing and only focusing on that, would 2% be? Question number 1 is, would 2% to 5% of my total total revenue be a good spend on LinkedIn? That's question 1. Question 2 is, what would be the cost of one single email if you're sending that sponsored email?
Emails, okay. Let me answer the second question first. Sponsored email ranges between $1 and $5, depending on the audience that you're reaching out to. If it's a very niche and core audience, like a VP, CEO or CXO, the cost is definitely going to be higher. But if it's a broader audience, the cost goes down. So it's always a range. LinkedIn never gives you an actual number. So there's a campaign example. We ran the same similar campaign for Epson, but this is in INR. Yeah, the first campaign that you see here is basically an email. It had about 9 rupees cost per send. So every email basically cost me, sending that email cost me only about 9 rupees. This was a broader audience, so like what you saw, it had about 500k members in it. So the more niche you go, the costlier it becomes. And to answer your second question in terms of how much of your revenue, expected revenue, are you supposed to invest, I think as Jaideep mentioned, it anywhere ranges between 2 to 10 to 15%. It depends on the product, the cost of your product, how much profitability you're expecting from that. Because on top of your manufacturing expenses, you have your profit margin. So out of that profit margin, assuming that you spend 10% of that towards your advertisements, so you're left out with the remaining 90%. Does that remaining 90% make sense to you? Right? So if that remaining 90% is only 90 paisa, it doesn't make any sense. But if it's a 90 rupees out of which you have spent 10 rupees for advertising, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? So that's a business call that you have to take.
Also, you'd have to have a very good reason to choose a single channel like LinkedIn, probably in the HR software business or something like that. So I'm just saying it's a very odd situation where you'd have LinkedIn as your primary channel. But if you do, then in that sense I would increase it, because if you choose LinkedIn as your one channel, you have this great reason, which is probably or your whole universe audience sits only in LinkedIn, then I would increase the budget. My percentage would be much higher. Again, depending on the size of revenue that I'm looking to, expected revenue.
It was more focused on the paid cost, the paid campaigns, rather than the actual efforts which go into marketing.
Right. I'm just saying, if you're using that, then it's got to be proportional to that. So the percentage would go higher if I'm using I'm just talking from a marketing standpoint. If you use a single channel strategy, in that case, then your percentage should be higher.
Okay.
Again, the caveat there is that your expected revenue is going to be that much higher. But if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket, you should have a very good reason, meaning you've tested all other channels and you've found this to be, spend a little money everywhere.
Right.
And then,
So since we're talking about InMail, I would just like to show how an actual InMail looks like. So this will come, since this is being done from my account, so the InMail will be sent on behalf of the person who is connected to that client's account basically. It doesn't come from a company, but if you want it to be sent from a company like Epson or your own company name, then you have to contact LinkedIn for that. That's a different process altogether. So this is like more personalized. It has sponsored on the top, and then on the right hand side it has that image, like a banner image with some sort of messaging, and then there's a detailed text with a link which leads to a landing page. So this is one of the best practices that most of them follow when they're sending like bulk emails to a whole wide set of audiences. Okay, that's pretty much about LinkedIn targeting and different types of ads that we have on LinkedIn. Unless you have any other specific questions on how to reach out to prospects or anything like that. Anyone else? Okay. So we'll move on to Facebook then.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I want to talk about AdSense also.
Yeah. Do you want to ask what?
Yeah. What is the so for example, have a very specific target audience. I have a very specific target audience, which is the logistics space. I want to target, like, I've been using LinkedIn, mainly around supply chain logistics personnel. I also want to target specific AdSense ads on sites that typical supply chain logistics folks access. Typically, what is the kind of distribution? I don't do anything else. These are very, very focused channels that we do. Because it's purely enterprise, my audience is very niche, which is supply chain and logistics. no point in going Facebook other than for brand building.
Got it.
Okay. So how do you allocate between, or are there any case studies between how AdSense works versus LinkedIn works?
Okay, AdSense I think is more effective when you're actually doing it in, as part of a remarketing effort rather than doing complete on banner ads, full-on banner ads reaching out to a wider audience. But if you have a good remarketing pool, I think AdSense is very effective in that sense, in that context. But if you're doing very contextual targeting based on keywords or themes or topics or whatever it is, surrounding logistics and supply chain and all that, I'm pretty sure there are topics, broader topics around that on LinkedIn, Google. The effectiveness of that is very minimal. One way to do that, I think, to ensure that you get kind of results that you're expecting would be have 2 or 3 different targetings in the same campaign. Use manual placement plus keywords plus topic-based targeting. So when you add on these 3 layers, it sort of narrows down the audience because it's an AND condition in AdSense. It looks for all 3 conditions to be met. So that gives you a much more narrower, more focused audience to target on, via AdSense.
I want to ask one thing, like as we are operating. Hi, I want to ask one thing that like our sales and marketing team is having a premium account like separately, like annually, like whatever the sales plan charges or the basic plan premium.
Yeah.
So my question is, let's say my target audience, like being an analytics company, we focus on B2B and sometimes B2C as well. So for the B2B, we see fellow data analytics company who want a platform like ours and can just integrate and can work on it. And so our sales audience is like more of a B2B kind of a audience. So let's say I'm targeting a chief data officer in the US of let's say some top like 100 companies, and those 100 companies are like sizing between like 1 to 500, wherein they can actually look into the platform and they can leverage that out of it. So what my question is that after segregating those kind of profiles, what should be the best approach to approach them, and what is it generally like the strategic budget, or like should we do the sponsor ad, like what should be that like key strategy in order to reach them directly and get the message like delivered?
Okay.
Which tool of LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Apart from LinkedIn.
So I think it is a little bit of a complicated situation what you're saying, because you're actually using Sales Navigator, right?
Or the basic plan, yes, one Sales Navigator and few profiles we have for the basic.
Yeah, correct. So once you put in a multiple conditions, I was actually going through the Sales Navigator and found something quite interesting. It has the exact same targeting options as you would have in the ad platform. Right. Once you put in all these filters, then it will give you the ad platform doesn't give you the names and details, but this gives you the names and details, which you have to manually input somewhere, or you have to click and send an email to the person or connect with that person, whatever you do. So in terms of strategy, I think it's again based on your budgets. If you have enough budgets, I would say directly go on for a paid campaign, because the targeting options are basically the same. There is no difference between this and your premium account. This is much more, if you send an email, it's much more cheaper rather than going for your subscription plan. And you can actually target a wider audience across the country, across the globe actually, which you may not even know exists, because LinkedIn ad platform automatically adds on different algorithms and finds you more audiences which are similar to your target audience, right? So given that thought in mind, or the strategy that has that is associated with LinkedIn ads, I would recommend going for this. But if you don't have a budget but you're working on a monthly subscription plan or something,